Hello everyone, this is Dr. A. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My vlog is about test scoring for the essay test. Certainly from assessment planning to the test construction to the invigilation of the test and to the collecting of the test papers, let's go to markings or scoring the essay test. So certainly it's important to determine whether you will use a holistic or analytic scoring system before you write your rubric. So this is your first consideration. So again, you have to determine what scoring system you'll be using. Is it holistic or analytic? To understand about the difference of the two, so let's try to have these examples. What scoring is this? So we have an example here wherein your range for excellent is 90 to 100, and you have the descriptions that these are supposed to be ideas, are brilliant, strong coherence, and no grammar mistakes. And if you're going to look at the bottom, 69 below, so that is equivalent for need rework, wherein ideas are not clear, illogical coherence, problems with grammar that requires review. So if you were to analyze this, there are only three elements that you are trying to look for the essay. So these are the explanation of ideas, the coherence, and about the use of grammar. So but the scoring system is that you allocate certain points to determine whether the work is excellent, very good, good, need rework, having all these elements in one area. Now, let's have an example. Another one. So what scoring is this? This time you have now the explanation of ideas given certain points. You have the coherence. There's also allocated points, and grammar another certain points given at a total 100%. Okay, so to understand further about the difference and distinctions of the two tests, so let me try with analytic scoring. So if your answer earlier is analytic, or say, okay, so this is how we understand this. It is a way of assessing students' work that requires assigning a score or mark for each element of a task. And so looking at this, okay, we have these three elements, and then we have allocated points for each element. And then, to understand about holistic scoring, so this means making an overall assessment, considering all criteria simultaneously. So how do we understand this? When we say considering all criteria simultaneously. So if you're to look at our example here, so we have these elements or the criteria simultaneously within certain group. Like for example, when to award excellent, very good, good, need a rework. Because holistic scoring provides an examinee with a single score as a whole. And that is why if we're going to look at this, so this will now give you an idea of how this differs from analytic scoring. So the next step in scoring essay test is to create the essay rubric in advance. So this means that prior to checking, you must have prepared your rubrics as your guide in marking or scoring. So after you determine whether you use analytic or holistic, because both analytic and holistic will require rubric. Now, let's understand about the benefits of rubrics. Of course, it helps us to mark the learning outcome target clearer, because the rubrics will help us or will serve as guide in our scoring. It makes as well the assessment process more accurate and fair. And also, rubrics provide students with a tool for self-assessment and peer feedback. So somehow these rubrics should be given to the examinees or to the test takers or even candidates for them to have an idea of what areas are to be looked at in their essay test. And the third step in scoring the essay is do not look at the examinees' names, or should I say, another guideline that you have to understand in scoring the essay test. Do not look at examinees' names. Well, certainly there could be some influences, and these are things that we need to avoid. Okay, being biased or being unfair. Okay, looking at names at times, okay, would influence us. So it's better that you assign codes to your examinees, or you may assign a number, for example, okay, just to avoid looking at the names or avoiding using names during your scoring of the essay. And fourth, you may, of course, it's important that you must mark one item at a time. So you have to check one item at a time. So if you had 10 examinees and then the essay test composes of 3 items or 3 questions, so you score first. Okay, test item number 1 of all the examinees before you go to number 2. Okay, so you finish all checking or marking first item number 1 of all the examinees before you proceed to the next number. So certainly it helps, of course, to ensure that you use the same thinking and standards and scoring on all the test papers in one sitting. You are increasing the reliability as well. So it is important that you check all the test paper in one sitting, because there might be some disturbances or distractions. It will absolutely affect, okay, your scoring. So it's very important, okay, that you score test papers in one sitting. And then the fifth suggestion is, of course, avoid interruptions when scoring a specific questions. So I believe this is self-explanatory. So you need time, you need even places where you are going to check should be considered. Okay, you must it must be a conducive room, it must be a peaceful room, okay, no noises or free from any distractions, because you need to focus on scoring the test. Next is, for more important decisions, work with multiple assessors. It's very important that you do not only decide, like for example in maritime, if this is for management level, or shall we say advanced level. It's important that you get the idea or the scores, the judgment of other assessors. So you may sit down together and have multiple assessors for these important decisions. For number 7, be careful of negative influences. What are these negative influences? Like for example, we have illusion of validity. Sometimes as we read, we are impressed with the thoughts, with the grammar, okay, but is the thought or the content of the essay really what is supposed to be there? So meaning, is it aligned to the intended learning outcomes you are measuring? Because sometimes you are swayed immediately by the good grammar, by the good way of writing, even the style, the technique, and then so we may be trapped about this illusion of validity, because validity is supposed to be the test measures what is supposed to test. Handwriting and writing style. Well, sometimes you are overwhelmed by handwriting. We are impressed with the way examinees would write, even the writing style. So, but be careful with this. The length of the response sometimes may include, now number 4, the inclusion of irrelevant material. Okay, so the response can be lengthy, but sometimes it happens because of the inclusion of irrelevant material. So we have to be very careful with this. Some assessors would just look at the length and then they consider, even without reading, that the content of the essay is very good. But again, we have to read it, the essay carefully, or the answers carefully, and to see if there are irrelevant materials included. So next is review papers that are on the borderline a second time before assigning final grade. So this is a very good practice of assessors, that we review, especially those examinees who got almost in the borderline So that may require a certain review and arrive at the final score. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about scoring an essay. So, again, it's very important to think about whether you're going to use a holistic or analytic, and then you work for a rubric, and then please follow some of these suggestions that I have suggested here, of course. And then good luck on your scoring of your essay. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my video.